Completing the 750-mile Oregon Desert Trail was by far the most complex and difficult endeavor that I've ever completed. It was essentially a 2-year project that consumed massive amounts of my time and money, and combined with the first attempt, which was just short of 400 miles, and the many training runs that I did on individual sections, I probably ran about twice the entire distance of the trail. Some sections I did up to 3 times. I guess money-wise, I spent roughly maybe $1,500 on gear, about maybe $800 to $1,000 on caches and food, and probably about $2,000 on gas. I estimate that we drove about 10,000 miles to drop and retrieve all the caches. Sadly, our good old faithful Subaru died in the process, but that gave us a really good reason to buy a much more capable vehicle. So that was a great decision because it allowed us to go to cache locations that we couldn't go otherwise with a regular vehicle. If you ask me what I would do differently and how exactly I did it, well, I don't know. I don't really know. I don't have an answer. It just feels somehow I just completed it and did it, and all I know is that I would never do it again. It was the longest and the most intense, crazy episode of adventure and incredible physical and mental discomfort that I've experienced, and yeah, I would just certainly not do it again. I really arrived at the end totally beaten up, completely unshaved, insanely sleep deprived, dirty and whatnot, you name it. It was the end. I was totally done. And it took me a really long time to recover, even though I didn't even take a week off from running, but still I didn't feel strong for a long time. I did average 43 miles per day without any rest day, and in some of these really challenging terrains that required navigation and all kinds of my skills, and it was just super challenging. So despite the massive planning and training, a lot of things obviously went wrong, and I think the experience really helped me to be successful, but still I never imagined how hard it would be. It was just a colossal struggle against myself and the often really hostile yet incredibly beautiful environment too. And so maybe it was the visual stimulation that eventually kept me going. Or maybe it was simply because it was so hard to quit, and that was kind of by design. I made it really hard for me to quit. I didn't have a cell phone. I only had a satellite tracker for emergencies. And so I think the fact that I didn't have any communication with the outside world really helped. And it also made this experience much more unique, I would say. It was probably the best way to really deeply connect with the environment and experience these public lands. And I think that was the only way I could really grasp the ODT to the full extent. There are unique public lands in so many ways, and just in our backyard, and that's just incredible that you can run, hike, bike, horseback ride, and you name it. And that 750-mile Oregon Desert Trail is, for the vast majority, on public lands, and I think it's only now that I realize how unique and really valuable these lands are, and how amazing that is that you can all do that on public land. Maybe the Hawaii is a great example. Measured by road access, it's one of the most remote and wild places in the entire country, and it's incredibly amazing, and sadly, I guess many Oregonians haven't really experienced it. It's bigger than the Yellowstone, actually, and so it's so grandiose and so special that really it's something that we should protect, and it's where the public benefit of public lands goes over the private interests and benefits and profits. And so I really hope that my adventure and documenting all of this will also help people to go out and experience these incredible lands.
Because of that, I think the Oregon Desert Trail has a unique place in that it can really engage people on conservation issues at a deeper level. Right now we're advocating for a national monument in the Oahe Canyonlands. What's behind that? What happens if it doesn't become protected? So there's a lot of ways I think the trail can help people dive in and learn about these issues as they're walking through the landscape. And I think that's really interesting. And also, the main reason Anda wanted to create the Oregon Desert Trail was to have a more, was to foster a personal relationship with the landscape. By spending time out in the high desert, you form this connection and this appreciation and this love of place.
By the way, I put great importance into doing this whole adventure as a leave no trace adventure. So all the caches that we placed were retrieved, we recycled as much as possible, and I think that was really important for us. Long distance hikers told me that I'd be getting into some sort of like, you know, vibe or zone where my body would be getting used to the daily grind, but that for me never was the case. My body just started falling apart more and more. And maybe it's because I worked myself into the ground basically every day, and I just kept going as far as I could, and then I stopped. And so it was really that relentless and restless mindset that I had. Totally relentless. I moved forward as much as I could, and so maybe that was sort of like that unreal mindset that really helped me going. And I think the words relentless and restless really describe that very well. Could I have prepared better? Not really, or maybe. I mean, there's a couple of things I would do differently. I think if I would do it again, which is not going to happen, I'd certainly size up my shoes. I would also build in more redundancy with the caches. Several caches were missing, and that really affected sort of my well-being, I guess. And I did have enough calories per day, and I also had, I think, the right food choices, but I should have had a bit more redundancy and a bit more flexibility in terms of how far I would have to go. And so often I wasn't very hungry, I didn't eat all the calories, and that was actually good, but probably was the heat, which was a major factor. So I wouldn't do it in the midsummer, it's just brutal. So and another factor was the sleep deprivation. That was a huge challenge. Again, I worked myself into the ground every day, and that was just every night basically I passed out and then got up in the very early morning hours. And would I do this whole thing again? Hell no. It was hell. It was terrible. It was just incredible. So painful and so much discomfort. It's at in the very best, it's a dumb way to waste your time and your energy, so just don't even think about it. It's like running a marathon. It's just worse. Just kidding. I mean, really, I think you should do it, because I think what remains in life are these incredible experiences. It's the things that are basically your retirement savings. All of these experiences. So by building these memories that you can someday recall with immense joy and satisfaction, and live through them again and with gratitude, that's really your retirement savings. So you should go out and do it, and it's really in that moment that you realize, I think, much later, that you lived through these experiences for something, and maybe at the end when you're about to die, you realize that you truly lived because you had all these experiences. So it's not the 100 times that you slept in and then had some sort of like brunch where you waited 2 hours in line that you're going to remember, right? It's not that. It's not the hundreds of times you cleaned your house or you cleaned your car or whatnot, right? You're not going to remember that. It's the other experiences that make you go out of bed at 2 o'clock. And so I think that's absolutely crucial. So all I could say is go out, push your limits, and go beyond what you can do. Life is really short, and the question is, how are you going to spend those roughly 4,000 weekends that you probably have? How are you going to experience these? Are you going to sleep in, or are you going to get up early and do something that's totally amazing? It's up to you.